We just met because of circumstances. He needed a wife and I needed help. So there was no love. When I mentioned this person, by the way, I've never healed from that. What I went through in that home, I've never healed.
When poverty and dreams live under the same roof, a lot gets compromised. Something similar happened to Debora.
I'd gone through a lot in my life. Growing up was not easy. I was a traumatized child and no one could understand me. I had no one to talk to. Growing up, I had no one to talk to. I did not trust anyone. It reached a point in my life that I had no trust in anyone.
She was a bright child, competitive, ambitious, and full of academic dreams.
Being a bright student, it really pained me.
She wanted to be a musician, and people admired her for daring to dream big. But there was one problem. There was no money. And yes, no matter how talented you are, without money, it's hard to move forward. Debora fought against every circumstance and every obstacle to chase her dreams. But life wasn't fair to her. It kept testing her over and over as if trying to see when she would finally break.
The way you see people out here, they're not who they are. Because the man of God that I trusted so much as my dad, as my pastor, he was about to rape me at the age of 13 years. He took advantage of my situation.
After a series of small challenges, life threw a massive one her way when she was just 19.
I was actually very scared because this guy was tall, huge, and I came to learn that he was 43 years old, and at that time I was 19 years old. My mom told me, you've seen how life has been hard on our side. You've seen your sister struggling. Maybe if you go to this place, you're going to help us. Go, and maybe you're going to help us.
A false promise, a shallow marriage, and a long list of compromises followed.
The moment that my dad went away, I felt like my life was shattered. That time I asked myself, why my dad decided to leave at that moment when I needed him the most. I felt like my father did not want that burden of educating a child, and it was so bad on my side. And my mom saw that my dad had left, and she knew I was the best child. I was the brightest child in school, and she could not afford seeing me staying back at home only because I do not have school fees. So my mom decided to go and hustle somewhere so she could take me to high school.
What did Debora do about it? How did these challenges shape her life? Does she still dream? We're about to find out, all from the woman herself. So, let's begin.
My name is Debora Mora. I am a mother of one. The best moments when I was growing up were the times that I went to school, because I was the brightest girl in school. I grew up performing well in school, both in my primary and in high school education. I was the best student. I remember most of our occasions, I could be number one in all classes from grade 1 to grade 8 in my primary level. And every teacher, every school that I went, they really loved me. They loved my performance. They really loved how I was bright in school, and they supported me in my education. So me going to school was my best moments. But you growing up in that environment where you do not have support, I felt like even if I'm getting that education, it was not easy for me, and I did not know what tomorrow carries or what tomorrow brings. I was just a child. I was just a child growing up in a very hostile environment, being brought up by a stepdad and my mom, and everything was not okay in my life, but I managed. So we were about to do our final primary level exams. I do not know what happened between my mom and my dad. They parted ways, and it was the most difficult part of my life, because my dad, even if he was so harsh, so cruel to us, I felt like he was the only person who could support my education. I felt like he was the only person who understood that I was the brightest child in school. But the moment that my dad went away, I felt like my life was shattered. That time I asked myself, why my dad decided to leave at that moment when I needed him the most. I felt like my father did not want that burden of educating a child, and it was so bad on my side. And my mom saw that my dad had left, and she knew I was the best child. I was the brightest child in school, and she could not afford seeing me staying back at home only because I do not have school fees. So my mom decided to go and hustle somewhere so she could take me to high school. My mom went and looked for a job in a place called Limuru. That job was in tea farm, and she became a tea clerk at that time, so as to see me go to high school. And at that moment, she left me in a church premises. I trusted so many people at my young age. I trusted pastors. I trusted men of God. I trusted so many people in my life, and it was not easy trusting people that are not even your family. But for me, I felt like these are pastors, these are men of God. So when my mom left me in that church premises, I felt like I was so much comfortable. But the truth is, the people that you trust in life, they're not who they are. The way you see people out here, they're not who they are. Because the man of God that I trusted so much as my dad, as my pastor, he was about to rape me at the age of 13 years. He took advantage of my situation. He told me, like, I know your dad has gone, your stepdad has gone, and your mom has gone. She doesn't have money to take you to high school. I want to be intimate with you so that I can support you. At that young age, I was like, is this the type of life that we live in this world? Because this is just a man of God. I've grown knowing him as a man of God. But at that age, I was only 13. He wanted to take advantage of me. But I thank God he could not do that, because the moment that he was about to rape me, someone entered the room and I was rescued. And that thing really shattered my dreams. I could not tell anyone until now I'm a grown-up person. This is when I'm saying this, that this man of God wanted to rape me, because at that time my life, I felt like I was in an isolated position. I was so traumatized. I've grown up being beaten, not having anyone to tell my problems and my story. So I kept that thing to myself. I remember the first thing that happened to my life after finishing my high school. I went to bury my sister, our third born. Actually, she died when I was still in my exams, and they waited for me to go and bury her after I had finished my exams. So my sister had promised me, my late sister, she had promised me that she'll go and she'll connect me to her friends. After I'd finished school, she will look for jobs. She'll connect me to her friends who will give me jobs. And also, she'll support. I'm a music artist. I'm a gospel artist, so she'll support also my musical career. She has friends who will support my musical career. So the first thing that happened to my life after I'd finished my Form 4, that sister who had promised a lot to me, she died, and it was so hard. Me going home to bury my sister was the most painful part. You know, I went to my home and we buried our sister, and my mom was in pain, and I could not sit down and see her go through that type of life.
I'm sorry to hear that. They say when tough times knock at your door, they rarely come alone. They bring a whole gang with them. You were educated, but the person you relied on for a job had disappeared. So how did you manage to get through it?
When staying with my mom, that's when I met this person who is now my ex-husband. When I mention this person, by the way, I've never healed from that. What I went through in that home, I've never healed. And I met this person because I feel like at that time I was so young to understand that people can never help you the way you want them to help you. Me being a church person and also a musician, my mom loves church and she used to take me to church, and at that time I was staying with her. She took me to this church that she was worshiping, and I remember that fateful day, there was a guest pastor in that church. And in most churches here in Kenya, when a guest pastor comes, you feel like that person is so special. I believe that we as Kenyans, even in churches, we feel like when a guest pastor comes, that person is very special. So the pastor preached very well, and when he was preaching, after he had preached, a programmer stood up. He said, who has a testimony, who can talk about anything? And I felt inside my heart I had something to say. I stood and I talked about my life. I said I had a very good grade in high school, but I have no one to support me going to university or college. And I also said that I'm a gospel artist, and no, I do not have any support to produce my songs, and I want also to go to school, to go to university and further my education. After I'd spoken that pastor, a student said, this girl and there was a certain woman, after the church is over, you come and see me. And me as a person was so happy, and my mom also was so happy because she knew that maybe the help has come. So after the church had when the church was over, we went to see, me and my mom, we went to see the pastor. So the pastor told us, me and my mother, that everything is okay. I will support your girl. I'll connect her to a certain job. She'll go and work there. I have a friend somewhere. That friend will support her music career, and your girl will go to college. Don't worry. And with mothers, especially a mother that has struggled to see a child becoming the best, like my mother, my mom felt so good. With mothers, when they see their children progressing, they become so happy. And that's when my mom saw that the help has come. And my mom said, if he has seen that he's going to support you, I really thank God for that pastor. And we went home. In that same week, the pastor called me. He told me that I want you to come to a certain place called Lakisama in Nairobi. And I went, my mom, at that time my mom was at work. I went and I told her, Mom, the pastor said that I should go and see him. My mom was so happy. He knew that maybe he had gotten a job. So my mom gave me the fare. I dressed very well. I was a very decent girl at that time. Even now, I believe that I'm that very decent girl. I dressed very well. I went to that pastor's place, and when I reached to that place, I found 3 people. 1, that pastor. 2, I came to learn, that time it was a distant cousin. I came to learn that he is a distant cousin to that pastor and to that ex-husband. And the third person was the ex-husband. And now this guy, the ex-husband, was the cousin to this pastor. And the ex-husband, that guy, when the first picture, when I saw him, he was a very tall, huge, and a dark guy. And for me, it was like, they're just people. I did not know if there is something, a hidden agenda at that place. So for me, it was just, these are just people, and the pastor has called me. He has something important to tell me. Maybe he has gotten a job opportunity. So me arriving at that home, I met those people, and they welcomed me very well. There was a meal and they gave me food. I ate, and this distant cousin, he exited. He was a guy. So we talked a little bit, and now this pastor started talking about the main agenda why he had called me there. He told me, Mora, this guy, he is my brother. I came to understand that he was, my ex-husband was his cousin. This guy, he is my brother. He's a very good person. But the wife, he had married a wife. The wife was so bad. The wife went away. She was a very bad woman. So this guy wants a wife. So if you could agree to get married to this person, he will support whatever that you want to do. And I remember that time, the only help that I wanted was for me to go to university and to remove my documents from school. Because you remember, I said when I was going to pick my documents from school, I lost the money in my matatu, so I did not have my documents yet. So, and also the pastor said that he'll also support your musical journey. He'll help you go to studio and record your songs. And I was so happy. I felt like help has come. And he told me he's only going to do that if you'll agree to get married to him. And you see, at that time, I can say that being young, naive, and when you come from a place that from a poor home, when you come from a poor home, there is nothing you can reason as a person, as a young girl who is growing up. And sometimes girls are very they are very disadvantaged when they need to chase their dreams, because if you do not have that help, you'll get people that will want to use you so that you can get that help. And in most cases, these people will never help you achieve your dreams. And that's this environment I found myself in. So from there, this guy, I was actually very scared because this guy was tall, huge, and I came to learn that he was 43 years old, and at that time I was 19 years old. And I went back to my mom. I told her, Mom, the pastor has told me this and this, and I've met this person. He has told me if I could agree and get married to this guy, they are going to help me in so many ways. They are going to help me achieve my dreams in so many ways. My mom told me, you've seen how life has been hard on our side. You've seen your sister struggling. Maybe if you go to this place, you're going to help us. Go, and maybe you're going to help us. I believe at that time, my mom had no bad intention. My mom believed that whenever help comes, wherever help comes, that's where I should be. And she told me, you just go. If you see it's a good idea and you feel like that's where you're going to get help, just go. And I remember I came back, I communicated with that pastor, and I packed my things and I took myself there. No one came for me. It was not even ceremonial. They're coming for you. There is this. They're coming to see your parents. No. I was in problems. I wanted help, and I'm going to look for help in that place. No one came for me. I took myself there. When I met this guy, I did not love him, and he did not love me back. It was marriage that came out of because of circumstances. We just met because of circumstances. He needed a wife, and I needed help. So there was no love.
Being in such a situation must have been incredibly challenging. How did things eventually turn out for you?
I remember this guy was a truck driver. I did not stay with him for the longest time. He left me with his people. He left me with his relatives at home. He took me to his home place in western part of Kenya. So and left me there. And I remember the environment was so hostile. Before the guy left, I remember I had seen so many things that were going on that I felt like those things were not good. And that's the time that I saw myself in a very big problem. I believed that I'd made a very huge blunder going to that place, because that guy, he became so ignorant. He did not care about how I feel, where I am. He could not even walk with me, because you see, I was a very young girl, a slender girl. I was so slender and it was huge. So maybe people will tell him, why are you walking with your child? So I feel like at that time I was very ashamed. I was just a young girl, and he was huge and tall, and he was that old. So I feel like that person was ashamed even my company. He was ashamed even of my company. Yeah. So before I remember, like through 2 to 3 weeks after I'd gotten to that home, I wanted to leave. Why? Because the life that I expected to live there was not the one I found there. So I felt like, no, I'd made a very big mistake. I want to go back to my mom's place. But now something happened. I found out that I'm pregnant. And being pregnant made me so sad, because I could not go back to my mom's place. I've seen my mom struggling to raise us, to provide for us, and where am I taking a burden to her? I decided to stay because I was pregnant. I decided to stay because I did not want to take the burden to my mom. And the environment was so bad. I faced a lot of rejection in that home. Even the mother, the sisters, everyone. It's like they were like, I felt like they did not love me in that home. I felt like I was alone in that place. And you see, I come from a certain tribe, and I go to another tribe. You are the only person in that home who speaks this language, so they do not understand you, and they cannot understand me, because even what I've gone through in life, I've seen a lot, and I felt like no one could understand me at that moment. So my husband left, and I was left with the relatives. They later came the pastor, and the pastor later came and picked me from that rural home and took me to a nearest town center. Again, to stay with a relative, because the husband was never at home. My husband was a truck driver, so he could not even stay at home. I remember even in a year, we could meet even 3 times. And if he comes after 3 months, he'll just come a day. He comes today, he sleeps that one day, and he will go for another 3 months. He was not even staying with me. He did not know how I was doing everything. I handled everything by myself. And I remember I carried my pregnancy alone. Me as a person, I carried my pregnancy alone. And with the people that he left me to stay with, they were so cruel. They really they did things that I felt like when I sit down and remember those days, I always cry, because even I could leave my basin outside. You'll find that they've broken the basin from nowhere. Me, I was that girl who could not even speak. I did not want any problem with anyone. I was always on my own. But these people were so harsh. They were so cruel. I felt like these people, they were no good. So I carried my pregnancy on the journey of me carrying a baby. Really traumatized me. And up to now, I'm sorry to say this, that journey of carrying a child, I really do not want. And when I gave before I gave birth, I went through a lot. I went through loneliness. No one was supporting me. I remember I could just live in my house, like even for more than 1 day. I'll just sleep without waking up, and if I feel I'm hungry, that's when I'll wake up and look for something to eat. That was my journey of pregnancy. And I remember it reached a time I got my child. I gave birth in December. The date was 25th December. It was on Christmas Day. I went to labor on 23rd. For 3 days I was in labor. I was alone also. The guy was around, yes, but he did not come to the hospital because he just came for the first day he took me and the last day that he came to pick me. This other time it was with his relatives and his friends drinking, and I was in labor. And this person was drinking. He was not an alcoholic person at that time, but I don't know why he just took that decision and went to drink alcohol when I was in labor. So I gave birth to my child. The person came to the hospital to pick me, and we went home. After me giving birth, I stayed with him for like 3 days, and he said that the boss has called him. He's going back to work. So when he went back to work, I remember I was still a young mother. I had not even finished a month. I was with my child, and me getting my child, I can say that at that time I was not happy even. I was not happy. You know, every woman celebrates when she gets a child, but I was in depression. So I remember it was on 31st, me calling my husband. It was that at 31st night, at that night, me calling my husband. I wanted to tell him that I wanted to appreciate him. At that time, I had accepted that I'm a wife. You know, life has beaten me, and I'm like, I've just accepted. This is my life. This is my situation. I cannot change. So at that time, I wanted to call my husband and appreciate him for everything. I wanted him to know that he's my husband. And I called his phone. I called his phone over and over again. And it reached a time that someone sent a text. I sent a text to him, and the reply was like, someone replied with his phone. And for I know my husband very well, and I'm sorry to say this, my husband was not that educated. So if someone sends you a text, you'll know that it is not him. So the text that was sent back to me was like, no, this is not the person that is sending me the text. Then I called again, and I called, and it was not picked. At last I called, and someone picked the phone. It was a woman, and she said, do not disturb us, I am with your husband. And I was like, I have a small baby and come out of maternity. Like, it's like the week I had not even ended, and I was with a small baby, and the guy was with another woman. That thing really pained me. It pained me a lot, and I sat down and started reasoning about what I want in my life. Now I have a young baby. What do I want with my life? Yeah.
Walking an unplanned path at such a young age must have been tough, but it may have also given you some clarity, at least about what not to do in life.
I decided to go out of that, to exit that marriage, but it was so hard. I went to my mom's place. My mom was still struggling, and I saw that I'm not going to give my mom more burdens, because me going there with a child is another burden. So I came back to this person. I remember that so many times I tried to exit that marriage, but it was not easy. My child was so young. I could even get out of that marriage, go to my mom's place. The works that I get could even harm my child, because I could leave my child in a place that was not good for me to go and work. And I saw that I'm not going to punish my child only because the father is not a caring person. I'll take my my son there. Let me go and I'll try to see if I'll stay there and raise my child. It was not easy. It was not easy for me. It was not easy me getting out of that marriage, going back, getting out of that marriage and going back. And I remember my son was he was about 7 to 8 months. That guy, he beat me. Only because I had asked him, why did you lie to me? Why did you lie to me that you're going to take me back to college? Why did you lie to me that you're going to support me, achieve this and this? That guy really beat me that time. And I remember after getting out of that marriage, I used to have pain at my shoulder, on my shoulder, because of that beating. So after him beating me, I came and sat down with myself. I told myself, Debora, you still have life. You are still young. You have a life. One child should not make you stay in a place that you're not appreciated. I told myself that, Debora, you still have life and you can get out of here, go and achieve your dreams, and you can do anything with your life and make sure that you become the person that you want to become. And when my son got reached 1.5 years, I managed to get out of that marriage, and I got out of that marriage for good. Getting out of that marriage was not easy because you see, I'm having a small baby, and my mom, she's still struggling, and you cannot when you're starting life becomes so hard, especially the moment that you're beginning to pick your pieces. Life becomes so hard, but I decided that I'm going to pick my pieces. It doesn't matter what it will cost. I'll still pick my pieces. And it's been like 7 years down the line. I'm trying to achieve, but I'm not where I wanted to be in life. But I'm trying to achieve my dreams, and I believe that my life will never be the same.
How are you working towards achieving what you've always wanted?
Okay, after I'd gotten out of that marriage, yes, I still had my dreams intact, and I was called to do education in the university, but at that time I could not, because I did not have my papers, I did not have support. My mom could not even fund my education. So I lived knowing that things I cannot achieve at that moment, but I can become someone else in life. That's when I got little help. I decided to go to a technical college so that I can do a technical skill to support me and myself and my son. And also, there's so many things that I would love to achieve. I believe that maybe I did not become a doctor that time, because there was no help offered to me to go to university to study medicine or become a lawyer or become an engineer, because I believe me as a person, I could have become the best person in this society if help was given to me. But also at this time of my life, I also believe that I can be someone else. I'm that girl who believes that I can be someone great in this life. I don't have to stay there and stuck with my problems and lament all the days. I need to get out and become someone else. I can become someone else in this society, and that's what I'm trying to do even in my life at this time. I'm trying to get education, because personally I love education. Without education, you as a person, especially in this revolving world, you cannot become anyone. I really love education. And I always tell myself that I'm going to give myself chance, and I'm going to add value to myself as Debora. I'm not going to be the same person that I was yesterday. I want to become someone that even when people look at me, they don't look at my problems, they look at my progress and success. My number is +254 748 81 5473. I will appreciate any help that will be given to me. I'm someone who believes mostly in education and achieving and becoming someone great in this society. If there is someone who is able to support my education right now, I will really appreciate. And my son is also in school. Mother and son, we are schooling. But I really thank God for this times and season, because I did not give up, and I'm now going to go back to school and do what I wanted to do in my life. Yeah.
It takes real courage to live in a place where you always have to be ready for life's challenges. You never know which one might hurt you the most, but nothing can stop a fighter, just like her. No matter what life threw at her, no matter how unfair it seemed, she never gave up on her dreams. Education has always been an integral part of her life. She got married hoping to receive support for her education, but when that hope faded, she chose to walk away for the sake of her child and her dreams. Now, after years of struggle, she's working hard to rebuild her wings, and you can be a part of her journey. You can help her fly again. Start by sharing this video. Let the world know what a true fighter she is. I've done my part. You have her story. Now share it as much as you can. Don't forget to subscribe and spread this powerful story.